so he posed in front of my painting, this photo of him standing there was the big push. Maybe I want to try also different ones, a bit more pastel, not so strong, not so poppy. Being in Cabo for hosted for a month and have this opportunity to let's say start here, because actually here was the first time I started something new.
Welcome to the Progressive Design Firm podcast.
Bienvenidos a otro episodio de Arquitectura Desnuda de Progressive Design Firm. Hoy tengo el gusto y el placer de tener a Evgen Copi. I hope I pronounced it correctly.
It is correct. It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming, Evgen. I was just explaining to you that for me it's so important to do in this podcast something related with arts and artists. And I cannot imagine a better contemporary figurative artist than you are. Although I know you are like transitioning right now, but it's such a pleasure and such an honor to have you here.
Same. Thank you. It's so far been an amazing month. Actually going towards the end of it. But yeah, I had a great month so far, great 3 weeks. It's coming towards the last one. The work has been great, what I've done so far, and just beautiful.
Well, thank you for inspiring, this little remote town lost in the south of the Baja Peninsula. We have great minds here, and I'm certain yours adds to the equation. So basically, I know you were born in Slovenia.
Mm-hmm.
How were your first steps into the world of art?
So I don't know how much people know about Slovenia. It's a very tiny little country between it's sitting between Italy, Austria, Croatia, and Hungary. We're only 2 million people. But I got into art, I guess, like around my age of 15, 14. I've been into sports all my youth before that. But I think when I was very young, I started skateboarding at one point as well. And through skateboarding, just discovering, I think, the art on the t-shirts, the art on the boards, graffiti, and all this type of different also bands and music bands that they also had always designs and the covers of the albums and all these things always very interested me. And I think when I was around 15, the teacher just was encouraging me to proceed in this direction. And then I went to art high school, which started, I guess, everything. And that was the first, let's say, the beginning of it.
Very nice. Do you think that this professor you talk about, or of the high school going into the arts field, it's what first inspired you? Because I see a lot of traces of kind of a little bit of pop culture within your paintings. How collides your form of expressing art to whatever you see in the daily basis?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, just one thing. If I ever talk too long, you can stop me, or I don't know.
No, you never talk too long.
Okay. So the whole pop art generation was, let's say, one of the most inspiring to me. That's maybe why you can also see it. The teacher and the thing I was talking before was just, let's say, the first kick to start it. But then exploring and finding out about the whole pop generation from Andy Warhol and Roy Lichtenstein and all the other pop artists, masters. We had a pop art exhibition in the town where I grew up, and that's where I kind of really got into all of that, and I really liked it, and obviously proceed in that direction. Then Jean-Michel Basquiat was, I guess, a very big inspiration, as I think to many other artists. And yeah, that was one of the beginnings. And I think it had such a big how do you say, a big influence on me that you can still see it in the works that I'm doing today, and the brands, the colors, more like pop and bright colors, and all of those things that I think I saw or was already in the pop art generation before.
By looking at your work, I seen an evolution of techniques as well. What are the techniques that you use the most to do your work? I mean, because I see you, like, for example, the day I saw you painting at the M bar at the rooftop, you were like floating in the air. I can see you like very freely, but it has always been like that.
Uh, well, I definitely I'm very concentrated and into my own world when I'm painting, but the the techniques and materials were part of let's say exploration through the time, and I was always experimenting, and I am experimenting. That's very interesting part, I guess, of being artist to me, to explore materials, textures, and all kind of things. As I think, as an in architecture way, they do the same.
We do the same, yeah.
So yeah, and
Does it happen to you like it happens to me, for example, that I don't know, if I fell in love with a material, like, for example, exposed concrete like this, like the one we have here in the studio. um, when I fell in love with that, I mean, I do 3 or 4 or 5 projects just like that, just exploring the material, and it's basically like kind of a collection.
yeah.
Does it happen to you?
Yeah, for sure, in a different way. But of course, when you find something, you find out about something that you really like, and then of course you start using, you start, trying it in one way, in the other way, then you keep going, and maybe you leave it at one point, or maybe you keep it, for even maybe forever. So that was the same with my materials, and I was trying from spray painting. I was doing graffiti on the streets, and as a teenager, and then acrylic. Maybe the only material I was never really excited about was oil paint, which is very traditional and classic in a way, but that was the least attractive to me, and still is today. But I really like to I don't know, experiment with maybe more messy stuff. I like oil sticks though too, and
Well, the oil,
everything.
the oil. The thing is, for example, looking at your work, it seems more bright to me than the oil painting. So probably to find those colors, and even the sweater you're using today, it's like kind of a sunset.
Yes.
So in a way, I see you using these colors. Would you say you are transitioning in that as well? Or you want to keep the same palette?
Mm, maybe I want to try also different ones, a bit more pastel, not so strong, not so poppy. So that's, I think, what I have to try, and then I'll see if I'm gonna like it or not. I'm actually the works here that I'm doing at Nobu. A part of the ones that I did figurative. I'm also doing experimental works of painting landscapes, which I actually never did before, and I thought was a good opportunity, since as soon as I arrived and I've seen the landscapes here, I was so surprised how beautiful it is, and then the sunsets and the colors that the play itself provide to my eyes, and that was something, the most beautiful I ever experienced in my life. And I travel a bit around, so I've seen many, but these ones here so far the best and the nicest. And yeah, so it was really nice to also do these experiments in such a nice place. And yeah, so
Well, Novo Hotel in Los Cabos does have beautiful sunsets,
yes,
and
it
it does
does.
have beautiful landscapes around.
Yes, they did place the hotel on the good position.
Yes, it's like kind of a secluded area, but at the same time it's close to town. I don't know. I think it's just a perfect location for such a beautiful hotel.
Yes, it is.
You know.
It is.
But I don't want to jump into the hotel deal yet. I'm going. I'm going little by little here. So would you say that you have like these two identities, like the Joan skater that was, exploring first the world of art, and now you're a professional in this field.
Mhm.
How do you get from one place to the other?
Well, first, I always dreamed about it. That's one thing as a kid already when I was 16, 17, when everything started, when I saw movies about it. And just imagine, I guess, me being in these positions. And, it just was I am still very passionate about it. And in a way, this is also my life. I choose it that I want it to be my life. And, just proceed and always I guess believed in it, but never even I never think about it. I was just doing it. So and that was it. And every time I obviously before at the beginning it wasn't providing money for a living, so I was doing other jobs to support my passion on the side.
So you were working during the day in something and then painting at night like
Exactly.
that? No way.
Yes. Yeah, of course. I mean, I had to. The lucky part is that my family, the whole family, was always supporting me on this side, so that was very nice from them, and I will always respect that and cherish that. So that was a very helpful thing. But yeah, I had to work other jobs and then invest the money that I had into so I could paint and buy materials, buy canvas, buy colors, and and that was all what it mattered in that time.
What would you describe like your first strike of luck? Let's say, for example, for me, it was, I did a project, a very little project when I was starting my career. And I got published by one magazine here in Mexico. And it happens that that magazine got its way into one of the richest men in Mexico. And he saw my work and said, "Oh, he is in Los Cabos. I have a hotel in Los Cabos. Let's call him." So that was my first strike of luck. It's like what, like you're working hard in one direction, and then you just jump, a little bit, and then you keep working hard, of course,
Yes.
and then the next strike comes. You have to. It has to find you working. What would you be your first one? Let's say, okay, here it jumped.
Uh, for me was I went to Berlin, to Germany, when I was I think 25 at that time, because in Slovenia we're so small that our market doesn't even exist. So at that time I didn't even know that how the thing works and so on. I just knew that I have to leave my country in terms of finding, let's say, pursuing my dream, and so I had a couple of options in Europe, London, Paris, and Berlin. I was choosing between those, and at that time I also didn't have money, so Berlin was the most economic one for me. So then I just decided for that one, and I moved there. It was just before the pandemic, so then I think after like 7-8 months, the pandemic started. When we were all locked in, I did already a lot of work there, and I was posting on my Instagram already before, connecting a little bit with other artists, with maybe some galleries, and slowly with some collectors. And then this first click, the first, let's say, how you called it? The first
Strike of luck.
Strike of luck.
That's how I call it.
Yeah. So that was just one day. It happened for me through the Instagram. One collector just bought all the works that I had in canvas. All the works that I had in my studio. And at that point, I already, just after that, some other galleries started reaching out, and that was just, it happened very quickly overnight. And pretty much I didn't even understood that it's happening, so it happened so fast. And then, things just started going like step by step, up. And yeah.
And I see you very passionate about your work still. I'm very like working hard and looking for new opportunities or new horizons, Um, how, how do you think young artist can market itself? What would be the right marketing for someone that is producing art or wants to produce art? Um, for you have said Instagram took a big role in that,
For me.
but how did the collector find you? I mean, you just happened to find you on Instagram, or would you recommend the social media to promote your art? What would you be your recommendation? Approaching galleries? How do you do it?
Well, one thing that I learned that as an artist, approaching galleries doesn't work.
Okay, good.
This is one thing I obviously had to go through. I didn't know. And more I was reaching out, less worked. So that's one thing, it doesn't work. So they have to reach out to you. This is how it works. I don't know why, but it works like that. Other thing is, when I was at the beginning, let's say, I obviously the main focus was on work, but then at the same time, me as a person, that I'm also very, I like to be surrounded by people. I'm communicative. I like meeting new people, so I try to spend almost like half of the time that I used to spend in the studio. I try to use to connect with the people. So at the beginning, first, it's hard to find out the right people. So that was maybe at the beginning. Obviously, again, I went through many different ones, and then through time, and I think a lot helped me following and watching other artists, maybe a bit more or already successful ones, what they are doing and who are they with, around. So then I try to aim for those goals. That's or that people and that circles, and this artist was with that artist, and then maybe I knew this artist from somewhere, and then and then step by step these things get connected very, very fast.
So you still believe in one-to-one person approach?
Yes, or even one to more at the same time.
Yeah. But in person.
Yes, I think it's very important because I met or galleries or collectors just over the social media or by phone, but it's the best ways when I met them in person. Then they also, I don't know, see you're a real person, and especially, I mean, in my experience, it always helped a lot in terms of building nice connections. And I don't know, it was just, I guess, the best, to meet. And I like to do that,
No, I understand, and I see how social you can be, because when I was approaching to see you and to meet you, I was looking at you and you were painting, and I'm like, I don't know if it's okay if I interrupt, but I say, well, okay, well, he's in a rooftop, so I suppose it's the best time I can approach.
Of course.
So and a shout out to Luz, because Luz and Chef Paolo, they make possible for me to have you in this podcast. What do you think about our studio here in Cabo?
It's not just the nicest studio in Cabo, but it's like I dreamed many times about having my own art studio one day, building even my own one. And as soon as I stepped in, I was like, that's something I always dreamed about. It. The size, the concrete with lots of glass, like windows, so you have a lot of natural light, and then glass wall in between, and how spacey and bright, and that's beautiful.
Thank you, man.
That's beautiful.
Well, if you hire me, I will go to Italy to build it for you.
Yes. Yeah.
So you mentioned you were in. Let me understand. You mentioned you were in Berlin. um, you got connected with the art world in Berlin, so you start moving your art there. Then the pandemic strike. Um, Everyone was locked out and fearing for their life.
Yeah.
So how you end up in Italy then?
Well,
Everything seems to be happening really nice in Berlin, and then you move to Italy.
so yeah, I mean, long story short, for career-wise was very good, and it helped me open many new doors. I met many great people that helped me on my way. But I grew up next to the seaside, with way more sunnier and warmer weather, kind of like here, but not so sunny as here.
And not so hot either.
Exactly. So when I moved to Berlin, I don't know if you ever been to, but it's very dark and gray in terms of being there the whole year. It's very beautiful city, but for me, just maybe for a short visit, not to live in, because I need to be more in a brighter, sunnier, and warmer places with warmer people, good food. So I actually moved back home to Slovenia first, and then afterwards I met this girl.
I see. Okay, you went around. That's the reason.
Yes. So then I met the love of my life, and
Very nice.
she's Italian, and then I
I see,
moved
I see.
to Italy.
Okay, yeah.
It was an easy.
You needed to
decision.
go south then,
No.
man.
So
So when you first say that Slovenia wasn't the right place for you to start growing your professional career, and then you kind of were dragged to move to Berlin. I'm not saying this in a bad context. You just were
No.
looking for new opportunities.
Of course.
And then you went back to Slovenia. Did you find any difference between the time you left Slovenia the first time? You didn't find the right paths to a professional painter. When you came back to Slovenia, what was it different in a way? I mean, you find more opportunities, so it was the same. You don't feel it's a lot of our world there.
There is a small little one, but it works in a completely different way than the way that I got into. So I kind of got into like a worldwide market in a way, or
Yeah.
also my dream was always to showcase my art all around the world. I didn't want to just be at one place, first of all, but also we are such a small little country, and the group of art is small. The interest in art is even smaller. The sales are very hard to make. So the only good artists, or my artists that make a good living in Slovenia, I think are the tattoo artists or graphic designers and more commercial type of work. But as fine artists, it's very hard. So when I came back, I didn't even look for opportunities. I got into the circles of people that I needed to, and when I was back home, I still continued working, around the globe. I said I was just producing art in a different place.
And you are, I mean, and you are doing it, no? You are here in Cabo,
Yes.
half were apart.
Yes.
You know what? It's very funny because when you said that the love of your life is from Italy and you had to move there, I understand perfectly what you're saying. I connect with that. Oh well, you met my boyfriend, and he's Spanish, and he moved to
So-
Mexico, to a warmer place, I guess.
Yeah. From Spain to even warmer.
Even warmer, yeah. You can beat it. And I see you taking your art. I mean, when I see your art, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not an art expert, but I see you approach to the situation with certain humor. There are certain elements there that are surprising to me. Usually, when you start painting a new piece, do you have in mind what will be coming out, or you kind of explore in the way? Because it has a thematic. It's not abstract, It's a figurative painting.
Yeah.
So
So In most of the cases, I prepare a show with a gallery, or let's say just explain maybe for how this case works. I come up with an idea or a theme or a direction that I would like to go with, and then based on that, I start to look for the images. I always paint with use of images that I found. I re I change them. I don't reproduce them exactly as I found them, but I change things. I play a lot on my iPad, like digitally a bit. So kind of like I'm making a digital collage before, and then starting to paint on the canvas. But I always have some idea and like what I would like to find when I'm looking images. Uh, it starts many times just what I'm interested in is in the skin, because that's one part that it's very, I would say, not kind of signature in my work. It's very recognizable, very soft because I use airbrush for it. So I wanted to find an image where the skin, it's already very interesting to me, more than the clothes and the background, because this I changed many times. So I would say the pose of the figure, what I feel when I'm looking the image, and I already always imagine how this would feel when I'm going to be watching the canvas of the figure.
Now that you're talking about the skin, I do remember to see the skins. Yeah, very very soft, but it's still with a lot of light and shadows.
Mm-hmm.
So you it's not like a flat skin. It's like really you find the way the light works for you
Yes.
in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, how do you integrate light into your work hour?
Yeah. I was studying sculpture just to like change a little bit direction, but this is where I went to study. I always preferred painting, but I was very interested in the 3 dimensions and as you question now, the lights and the shadows and so on. So I think studying sculpture and still doing occasionally sculpture helps me understand more the how to feel or make to feel those shadows and those the plastic forms on the flat surface. So
Yes, because even uh, in some of your pieces, the figure seems to be like a 3D in a 3D dimension. Like the background is one thing, and like the figure seems to be even closer. So that's something that I noticed looking at your art, and that's something that very very nice to see. Just I'm a fan.
thank you.
So in here, I mean, my next step here is artist challenges, breakthroughs. Um, you mentioned you are going into a transition in your art. How that transition happens, why it happens,
Mhm.
and what kind of transition we can expect to see.
Uh, it I guess it started happening with all the movings I did now, in terms of like me moving from one country to the other country, finding a new home and a new type of life in a way, and then career wise, I came to a point where the work I was doing didn't give me the satisfaction as it gave me at the beginning when I discovered this type of work I was doing, and then I was exploring it, and I think I came to the point where there is nothing more exciting for me. So that is when I said I think it's time for me. This is also how I think it's important for every artist to explore through their careers and to grow, on that way. So I came to this point when I said it's time for me. I just turned 30, and I think it's not just because of the age number, but I think I came into a new type of period of life, and I also thought it's time for me to try something new, because I feel different some things now. I live different than maybe 5 years ago when I started doing this thing. So this figurative painting I was doing now for around 4 years, and yeah, like I said, I came to an end of a certain chapter, and it's just time to open a new book or a new chapter and start writing a new story. And it's challenging, a bit scary at the beginning, because you don't know, are you gonna find the right way? Are people gonna like it? Are people gonna buy it? Which I don't want to obviously even think about it, but
But you do.
sometimes, obviously.
Yeah.
But I try not to, of course, and it's still it's important, because the same before I moved to Berlin and discovered this figurative work that I was doing now. I went through the same phase, because I was doing different before, and yeah, and it's exciting for me as well, and being in Cabo for hosted for a month, and have this opportunity to let's say start here, because actually here was the first time I started something new, and yeah, it's just amazing.
Well, I think it's the perfect time, right? A month is like a breakthrough, and a very different culture, very different environment, very different weather. I mean, it's hotter here than in Italy.
Oof, yes.
So I understand. I understand where you're coming from. And I can relate with you a little bit of the architectural side. I mean, even though I'm always asked when I do a conference in a college, and I'm invited to do conferences sometimes. Always they ask me the same question, is how you get new clients. And I said, oh, that's a good question. I mean, I'm always worried, about money as well, somehow. I mean, you have to think about it. So you keep working, and I don't really have a plan for the next, how I'm gonna get the next project. It really happens, It's not something that you look for. It's the same for you. I mean, your next client or the next piece you produce is gonna be sold in a gallery, or to a collector, or to a final buyer, probably. It just happens. Do you try to, like, you show your work, you send pictures to galleries when you finish something, or they just call you? How that happens?
So in my profession, I do work with the galleries, so they are also working on my sales, and so that what I always was hoping for, to get the galleries so they can work on that side, and I can strictly concentrate on my work. And so yeah, I usually do, of course, show the works of the gallery, but I usually prepare for a group show or a solo show or an art fair. There are also art fairs in the art world, so depends what thing it is. But yeah, I always give the works to them, and then they go on. Yeah, well.
So they kind of do the sale for you.
Yes, they do, which is great. And also, this is how the system works.
Yeah.
Yes. Many people say they take too much, and
the commissions.
Yeah, obviously. And in the whole art world, it's the same commission split. So if you want to know, it's 50-50. So this is how it works. But yeah, I mean, I think it's I like the system, how it works, when it works. So I had like now a really amazing 3 years of my career, like was like being almost on the clouds. That went that well it went. Just the whole global art market was exploding, with the sales and everything. And now with after pandemic, with the economical crisis and the wars and crypto
it's a crazy
crash, it just everything went down. So now the market is very slow, and
everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. So that also, it's one of the reasons which pushed me into this experimentation period, and I think was too much of everything. I was taking a lot of projects, many times too many, and just to fulfill the people's needs. But I wasn't, in a way, really focusing on my work, I would say. In a way, I wasn't so productive anymore. I was more just producing, and not
Exactly.
creating. So that's two different things for me. So I think it, in a way, economically, it's not the best time yet, but at the same time, it's really good time for me to do these changes and restart, rethink, and slow down. And yeah, that's why coming here to Cabo, it was, I think, really, really good
Perfect timing.
to press the button, restart, and just start the new fresh.
Not always being bigger or more busy means being better.
Yes.
Or I understand what you're saying. Like suddenly money was coming in, because before why it wasn't. When I arrived to Cabo, I arrived with I don't know. I sold a car. I was living in the U.S. I sold my car, a car that was 10 years old. Probably I bring to Cabo something like 2,500, which will be like 50,000 pesos now. Um, and I didn't know anyone, so I started working. And of course, finally, the strikes of luck that I'm telling you about, they can be also a burden, because I find out I was just suddenly having 40 architects under my command, and I was making good money, but I was making just enough money to pay to everyone. Uh, Before I didn't have my studio, so I rent a studio, and I had to pay the rent,
Yeah.
and I had to pay for the people and everything else. So at the end of the day, I was making money, but a lot of that money was burned to the expenses, and I was very stressed out. I was trying to keep my head above the water level, and I was drowning. I was feeling very stressed out. But I thought that was the way. I mean, I wanted this, right?
Yeah.
So now you're telling me same thing happened to you.
Yeah, with not 40 people under my command.
Well.
But yeah, it was very, very similar. Coming to with this big dream and not having pretty much anything. Even my stepmom was paying my first year of studio because I couldn't afford. I had to call my mom many times if she can pay me the rent for my room for the month, because I didn't have. So yeah, and then suddenly, things were coming, projects were coming, and I thought, I take this one. I was a bit selective, but still coming to a place with no project at all, and then suddenly everyone asking it for you, to be part of that and that. So yeah, it was like you said. I thought that this is how it has to be, and to be successful, and so on. But I'm in a way, I'm happy I went through it, because I always learn after I go through something. So that was good for me, and to see now that how I don't want it to be, and otherwise I probably wouldn't know. So
Yeah.
and I think many of us, it's similar. So yeah, it was a good school in a way, and now I just set a new goals and a new way how I wanted to do it and work, and for the future, better for me, also for my health. I was getting sick many times because of burning out and the stress and mostly worries. I was worrying a lot, and and then yeah. So now I hope I choose the right way, and let's see how.
So. I mean, I was just telling you a personal experience and how, coming from a very depressed point of my life, I was not. I wouldn't say I was depressed, but the point of that point of my life, I remember with being sad. So that changed me a lot. Took a year off, and then I decided year off, right? Kind of on and off working. Um, and then it really changed my perspective on how then I resumed work. Thanks God I was able to resume work, because sometimes if you disappear and then you come back, so sometimes it just doesn't work, right? But coming back and resume work, it's kind of what you have experienced also moving to Italy, probably, like going back home and then going to Italy. How's life in Italy?
It's great. That's so easy to answer. Yeah, I mean, I had family there from my stepmom's side, so it was even easier to get there. So I wasn't feel like a stranger or a completely new place. I felt in a way like because I was going there a lot when I was a kid, because my father used to live in Italy as well.
I see.
So yeah, and I speak the language, which was even more helpful because going to Germany I knew a bit, but I never learned it, and yeah, it's not. And I mean, I just felt great. I feel very much more Italian than being on the north side of the Europe. So I just really felt in right away
I can tell
the
because
full.
your face brights out when I say how's
Yeah.
life in Italy? Great, you know.
Yes, it's just amazing. But I was gonna say, and then the Saudi, I love South Italy, like Napoli, Naples,
Uh-huh.
and that area. It's just beautiful, good food, and yeah. So
I'm actually planning a trip to Italy. I know the main cities, but I want to do like like little towns and that kind of stuff.
I'll give you some recommendations.
Yeah, would
Yeah, of
you? Thank
course.
you.
Of
I will
course.
definitely appreciate that. Um, so how did you became renowned, a renowned artist? Like everyone knows.
Well, I mean,
Tell us the secret.
I was very lucky. Well, I think you need to have a little bit of everything. Like the first thing is obviously the thing where you work hard for it and so on. And then I always say you need to be a bit lucky as well to be at the right place at the right time around the right people and so on. Let's say my biggest push in my career was when at the time of pandemic, so I couldn't even be there. I was part of a group show in König Gallery, which is a very famous gallery in Berlin or even worldwide. I was a group show there, and there was a visit from Virgil Abloh, which is a very famous, unfortunately passed away, the designer. And so he posed in front of my painting, and well, this photo of him standing there was the big push, I would say, because then I really got attention from many other artists, people, brands, and yeah, that helped a lot. Even after that, Nike from Berlin started supporting me as an artist,
Wow.
which was as a kid and being in sports, I always like Nike and all of that. And then at one point, they wanted to do something with me. They were giving me shoes and clothes, and that was really fun experience. And yeah, and then Takashi Murakami even started following me after this. Actually, 2 days after the photo was taken. So that was also something I was like, whoa, what is happening? So, it was like, wow.
Very nice, man.
Yeah. So I would say that was the biggest push. And then I guess just things went on.
So how Nobu finds you? How does that work? I mean, because they kidnap you for a year. No, for a month. I mean, they kidnap you for a month. I mean, how someone convince someone to come for a month to the other side of the world? I mean, how those collaborations happen?
So this particular collaboration happened between Nobu joined forces together with Collectum, which is an art advisory firm from New York, and pretty much they were the ones contacting me. They were following my career, I think, for around 2 years. They knew my work, they liked what I'm doing, and then they reached out to me and look, we started doing this residency with Nobu, and actually didn't even know that Nobu has hotels, if I'm honest. I knew the restaurant, obviously, but I didn't know that there are hotels as well.
I did stay in a beautiful Nobu hotel in Sevilla.
Ah, really?
Yes. So if you go ever to the south of Spain, it's beautiful. Yeah,
it's worth it.
Oh yeah, and it's right in the middle of everything. And I mean, I have always loved Nobu hotels
Mm-hmm.
because of their design. There, it's very
Mm-hmm.
like very Japanese in a way. You know,
Zen.
very zen, very
Yes.
easy to the eye, not crowded. And I like that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so when I travel, I try to travel to a Nobu hotel because it
Nice.
kind of goes with my vibe. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
so I like
That's
to.
beautiful.
And I go there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I knew about the artist residency they were having, and it's a big event for them because it happens once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the fact that you are here, I mean, it seems like they have like very open spectrum, you know, and they are advised by the right art people
Mm-hmm.
that actually contacted you.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much, usually art residencies work that artists apply for it for them. That's how it usually works. But in this case, I was invited, which was really nice, and especially I never did a residency, and like that was the period now that I was talking about that I wanted to start these new changes and everything, and then this residency again when I was already thinking, wow, now would be good to maybe do a residency, travel somewhere, and just start something new, and it just came. Like you said, things happen without you.
You know, not necessarily you have to look for them.
Exactly, they found you. The things, and
And how do you think that helps you? I mean, in Nobu is a very renowned, very well known brand. You
Mhm.
know, it's a very serious, very professional, very everything is very taken care of to
Yes.
the point of attention. You know, and I see how you can fit into that. You know, so it brings to you like, I mean, when I work, for example, with some brands, I mean, I do work with a lot of brands. I like to showcase it, you know. I mean, it's
Mhm.
part of my portfolio, you know,
Mhm.
as an architect, as an interior
Yeah.
designer. Is for you also a part of your portfolio said that, you know, I have collaborated with these brands and these brands?
Uh, well, as an artist, I think there are like a different type of artists. A commercial ones, more like a gallery type. So I'm not really defined. I'm happy to be more into the gallery type, but at the same time, also to make a living, I think sometimes, at least in my case, I found interesting, and I think I like to do them also a commercial collaboration in terms of brands, and even wish to make them more in the future. So yeah, it's something I find it interesting. Depends of the brands as well. I wouldn't take all of it,
Of course.
but the ones I found interesting, I would always. For example, I like fashion a lot and fashion brands. Not all of them again, but if a brand that I really like would ask me to do something, I would be more than happy to. So
Yeah, something I don't know, your vibe goes with, you know.
exactly, yeah, where you find yourself that you fit in, and yeah. So yeah, I was really happy when I got invited for this residency.
Evgen, I have two last questions for you.
Yeah.
The first one is, do you have any advice for young or emerging artists?
Yeah, I always. Well, I guess just like the one of the most important things I tell to everyone is just keep on working, and never uh, take to granted to yourself what other people say about your work, about your style or your look, or you just. I think the most important thing is that you believe in what you're doing, and I think it's important to listen to what others say, but never take it too personally or something. Because I know many artists that they were great artists, but they got, I don't know, too hurted if somebody said something bad about it. Or so I think, yeah, always follow your dream. And what else? Like I think I say to many that try to socialize and try to connect with as many, and like don't close the doors but open as many doors as possible. So uh take the opportunities that they come, and never give up. Like for me, it took me 12 years to get to, let's say, the first break. And I did, of course, I didn't know if that it's going to happen. And some people need maybe like more, like 20, 30, I don't know how many years. But yeah, I mean, and I know that even if it wouldn't happen, I would still be chasing it. You know, it's also this feeling. It's so, yeah. I think
that's very, very nice. It's very inspiring.
I hope.
Yeah, it is very nice. I mean, I'm always, something that has worked with me, if I can add
of course, please.
to what you did, said, something that has worked for me is like every time I win a big project, or I get like a lot of recognition in my field. Every time it's like, okay, I enjoy it at the moment, and I say, okay, let's go back to work. Mm-hmm. Yes. Don't believe it too much. I mean, you don't have to fly too high.
Well, in my case, it's usually I finish work, I'm very happy, like how it came, and then it's I don't know, maybe shown at the gallery, or I leave it in the studio, and then after 2 weeks, I'm like already looking, maybe it's not that I want to make it better, Exactly. So I think you can always make better, but never the best. So that's why I think it's also so nice to push yourself always.
Keep chasing.
Exactly. Yeah. Like go on, go forward, go.
I mean, it's okay to enjoy it for a time. Of
course, you have to.
Yeah. But it's for me, it has worked. It's not to stay there.
Yes.
Like to keep chasing.
Exactly. That's why I came to a point where I want to change something, because I was happy until now with it, but now it's like, now I want more, I want even better, So,
what would you say to the 10 years ago, young Evgen?
Yeah.
What would you say to yourself 10 years ago?
Well,
if you can, if you can wake up and see yourself 10 years ago.
You mean now?
Yes.
I think, I don't know, I'm really thinking that's a hard one, because I never knew what is going to happen and how it's going to feel and how it's going to be, So it actually brought me way nicer and better things than I even dreamed about. So, and people and all experiences and a lot of traveling, and opportunities to see the world, which I'm so grateful for. And but I don't know, I'm thinking if I would try to do something different, but I don't know. I guess, well, that's a hard question now. I don't have the.
You don't have the answer for that.
No, I don't have the answer.
Because it turned out to be better than expected and better than planned.
Yes.
You couldn't have planned that.
No, exactly. And I think also with, getting older and more experience and more people and more life, I think, things change, and how you see things and how you interpret things, and I think it's also part of our journey and our life, and that's how I see everything.
Well, just want to thank you for being in this podcast and for taking the time, and
of course,
and thank you to Nobu for give us this hour out of that month.
Yes, of course, a big pleasure.
And it was a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for inspiring us.
Thank you.